In 1943, a man died alone in a New York hotel room. No family, no friends, almost no money left. Within hours, the government raided his room, seized his papers, his notebooks, thousands of pages of ideas that could have reshaped civilization, classified, locked away, buried, and then history moved on as if he never existed. His name was Nikola Tesla, but here is what they never told you. What they buried with him was not just science. It was a complete philosophy of life, a way of seeing reality, energy, consciousness, and human purpose that the modern world, with all its technology and noise, still has not fully understood. This is that philosophy, not the biography, not the list of inventions, the actual ideas, the way he thought, the way he lived, and what it demands from you. Chapter 1. Reality is not what you think. Every scientist of Tesla's era was obsessed with matter, particles, mass, solid things you could touch and measure. Tesla thought they were all staring at shadows. He believed, not as a metaphor, as a literal truth, that the universe is not fundamentally material. It is vibrational, a vast living field of energy. And matter, everything you see and call real, is simply energy that has slowed down enough to become visible. He said it himself. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Most people read this and move on. Nobody asks what it actually means. Here is what it means. If reality is vibrational, if everything is, at its core, a frequency, then you are not a solid object moving through a solid world. You are a frequency, moving through a field of other frequencies. And the quality of your life is not determined by your circumstances. It is determined by the frequency you are operating at. This is why Tesla obsessed over his internal state, his thoughts, his emotional environment. He understood something most men never grasp. The outer world is downstream of the inner world. Before you change anything outside, you must change what is happening inside. To Tesla, this was not spirituality. This was physics. Chapter 2. The Obsession Principle. Tesla did not have hobbies, no casual interests, no side projects, nothing he did just to relax. He had one thing, one consuming, total, all-or-nothing focus, and he gave his entire life to it. Most people call this kind of obsession unhealthy. Tesla would have looked at most people's scattered, distracted, half-committed lives and called that the real sickness, because his philosophy of work was not about forcing effort. It was about alignment. He believed every human being is born with one question the universe assigned specifically to them, one thing only they can fully understand, one contribution only they can make. And the only way to answer that question, the only way to fulfill the real purpose of a life, is total immersion. Not balance, not moderation, total immersion. He worked 18-hour days not because he pushed himself, because the work was the only place he felt completely alive. The ancient Greeks had a word for this, eudaimonia, living in full alignment with your deepest nature. Tesla lived there permanently. He paid a price, relationships, wealth, recognition, comfort. But his philosophy asks you one question. What is the price of never living that way? What does it actually cost a man to spend his whole life slightly beside himself, doing work that doesn't matter to him, building a life shaped by other people's expectations? Tesla would say that price is far heavier. The man who never finds his singular purpose doesn't just miss greatness. He misses himself. Chapter 3. Solitude is not loneliness. Tesla never married. He had almost no close friendships. By every ordinary measure, he was profoundly alone. He did not see it that way. To Tesla, solitude was not a deprivation. It was a technology, a precise tool for reaching depths of thought and creativity that are simply not available to a mind constantly pulled by other people. He said, "The mind is sharper and keener in seclusion and uninterrupted solitude. Originality thrives free of outside influences, beating upon us to cripple the creative mind." This is not a personality argument, not a case for introversion. This is a claim about the nature of original thought. Every conversation leaves a residue. Every external voice deposits something in your mind, an assumption, a framework, a limit. Accumulated over years of constant social noise, this residue becomes a fog built from other people's beliefs about what is real, what is possible, what you are capable of. Tesla spent his life refusing to breathe that fog. His laboratory was his own mind, and he kept it ruthlessly clear. The challenge this puts to you is direct. How much of what you believe is actually yours? How much of your sense of what's possible came from your own thinking, and how much was handed to you by the fog? Chapter 4. The ego that disappeared. This is the part most people cannot accept. Tesla had no real interest in personal gain, not as a performance, not as a spiritual pose, as a genuine, lived philosophical position. When he tore up his royalty contract with Westinghouse, a contract worth what would be hundreds of millions today, he felt no loss. He felt relief, because Tesla believed that the greatest ideas do not come from the ego. They come through a man who has dissolved enough of himself that something larger can move through him. The ego filters everything through one question: how does this serve me? And in that filtering, it corrupts. Tesla saw himself not as the source of his inventions, but as a receiver, a carefully refined instrument, built through decades of solitude, discipline, and total dedication, tuned to receive frequencies that noisier, more self-interested minds simply cannot access. The implication of this is staggering. The path to extraordinary work is not building a bigger self. It is removing the false layers of self, the ego, the performance, the constant need for recognition until what remains is clean enough, still enough to receive what wants to come through. Chapter 5. He died broke. He died winning. By the end, Tesla had almost nothing. His funding cut, his laboratory demolished, his patents stolen. He lived in a hotel room, surviving on charity, feeding pigeons in the park. The world had stripped him of everything. And here is what his philosophy says about that. He did not lose. Tesla measured a life not by what a man accumulates, but by what he transmits, what he adds to the field of human understanding that was not there before he arrived. By that measure, the only measure he considered real, Tesla won completely. Alternating current, the foundations of radio, the principles behind wireless transmission, the invisible architecture of the modern world. He gave all of it. He kept none of it. And he considered that the right way to live. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a man who has done his duty has nothing to fear from death, poverty, or the loss of reputation. None of those things can touch what he actually was. Tesla understood this, perhaps more completely than any man of the modern era. Chapter 6, The Final Mystery. In his last years, Tesla was circling something deeper than any invention. He believed the human mind was not produced by the brain. It was received by it, like a radio, picking up signals from a field that exists completely independently of the device. And that specific disciplines, solitude, stillness, the ruthless removal of mental noise, could tune a mind to frequencies that ordinary consciousness never reaches. Tesla described seeing inventions fully formed, complete, running three-dimensional, before a single component was built. It would then construct them, and they would work exactly as seen. He did not call this genius. He called it reception, the result of a lifetime spent making himself a cleaner instrument. This is the final and most radical idea in Tesla's philosophy. The limit of what a human mind can perceive, understand, and create is not fixed. It is determined by the clarity of the instrument doing the perceiving, and that instrument can be refined. Most people spend their lives adding noise, more information, more opinions, more stimulation. Tesla spent his life in subtraction, removing everything that interfered with the signal, and what came through lit the world. Tesla died alone in a hotel room, robbed, forgotten, erased, and none of it touched him because he had already found the thing most men search for their entire lives, the understanding that the world's opinion is noise. That wealth is noise. That recognition is noise. The only thing that is real, the only thing that cannot be taken, is the quality of what moves through you, and whether you had the courage to let it. The present is theirs. The future for which I really worked is mine. Nikola Tesla. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.